Hi, I'm going to go over how you take out this machine out of this cabinet, because essentially I bought this, I know it's got lots of cords hanging out, sewing machines because I wanted the cabinet, but then I realized that I just got another vintage machine and I wanted to be able to take the original sewing machine out and put in the new machine. And this is a very heavy old Kenmore sewing machine that was made in the 1940s, model 117959. Currently it is not working because I have electrical that looks like that. However, I just discovered that you can unplug it right here, and I think I'm going to be able to convert it to a foot pedal, because currently it has a knee pedal, and this knee pedal and all the wires were intricately wound all around this table, so it was extremely difficult to get out at first if you don't know how to take it out. But once you kind of figured it out, it wasn't too difficult, because this machine is put into the sewing machine with these pins right here, and you see these little screws right here. That's what will loosen and tighten it off and on the pins. So when you want to take it off, you obviously lefty-loosey, you want to take it, you loosen up the pins, and they were a little sticky because obviously this is very old, and this has been sitting in my house for probably a year and a half, and who knows how long it was sitting before that, before I bought it. Because again, I bought it for this cabinet because it was Art Deco style, and I wanted a computer cabinet. And so I went to the flea market and I saw this cabinet for 15 bucks, and I was like, oh, that'll be perfect. And it folded out, and I could use it for a small cabinet, or you can make it longer or shorter. And then it just so happened to have a sewing machine in it. Well, I like to sew, and I was like, well, we'll just take it out, but it was nearly impossible to try to figure out how to take it out, so I just left it alone. Carried this super duper heavy desk up the stairs. This is cast iron, so it is not light. It is not a carry around sewing machine. So I'll get into it on how you take it out. When I first looked into the cabinet, I thought that these were removed. You could just like kind of maneuver these, pull them out. You can't do that. And then I reached under, and there's like a set of screws with these bolts in them. And I first took those out, thinking that that would loosen it up. It didn't work. So I'm going to put these back on. You have to get underneath the cabinet, but you can kind of do it by feel. But to put them back on. But they're just an extra security. They don't really affect these bolts because they're pretty tightly ingrained into the cabinet. All right, so after trying to figure out, we did everything in your power. This is not budging. Those wires were tight and tucked all in there, so it looked very daunting. Like I said, you didn't want to try to tackle this project. Well, after some research, to remove these old sewing machines with these pin systems, all you have to do is loosen that screw and that screw, and that keeps it tight on the pins. So I'm going to do that with just a flathead screwdriver. All right, we're just going to loosen these screws. Just a nice, easy lefty, and they might be a little stuck due to age, but you don't want to strip them, so you just want to take it nice and slow, and then you can kind of use your, you don't need to take them out, because if you take them out, it just wants to loosen it off the pins. So those are loose. So now all you have to do is pull it off. And then this cord was stuck, so when I pulled it off, I couldn't do anything. I had to just leave it like this and keep it on the table kind of, because this was very tight. Okay, so since this cord was very tight and stuck underneath here, you kind of had to maneuver yourself and look underneath. And I'm sorry, this is very bad lighting. But look underneath, and that was just the key. You needed to kind of wait for a very well-lit day and use your flashlight on your phone. And you will see that these clips right here held in the cords. Well, it was all underneath here. So again, sorry for the bad lighting. So I tried to reach my hand under here and try to unscrew. They're just flathead screws, but I couldn't reach underneath there. So after trying and trying, it just didn't work. So there's this tray right here that you can hear that is only there, I think, to kind of catch things like these pin things and just to keep things out of the way. So it has 4 screws, flathead screws. So where you remove the tray, and once you remove the tray, now you can access the sewing machine from underneath. So you just get in underneath there and get all those screws where the cord was. You got the screws, and then you have this knee pedal, because it doesn't have a foot pedal, it has a knee pedal, and that was hooked up. I'll try to mimic it. That was hooked up right here. So in order to get this down, there were 3 screws holding it on. So it just flatheads, and just by being underneath of here, you made your way around and did all 3 screws. There were a couple of the cords were done a little bit by these staples. And so when I got to one of those staples, I just kind of gently from each side pulled the cord, and it loosened the staple. And then as I was collecting it, I just kept everything inside that little tray that was to the side, and then that was allowed me to make that loose. Then I was able to just pull the machine out. So the machine's laying like this, the cords have loosened up, so now we're going to pull it out. It looks like that. So we have the sewing machine now, and I put this knee pedal because it fell to the floor, and that's fine. And then I gathered all the cords and kind of pulled them through. So now, whoops.
I stopped it.
All right, so start it back up. Start it back up. All right, well, it didn't fall when I did it the first time. In reenactment, it fell. But anyways, it's heavy, so you might want to not have it fall on your foot. So it fell. This machine is pretty indestructible, and it's fine. You just want to lift it up and take it and set it on to the floor or beside you. All right, so now we've placed the old sewing machine off to the side, and we want to put this new sewing machine on the desk. So a trick that I learned was online. They use a rubber band to kind of keep these pins staying upright. And I double checked before I put it on. This machine also has pins. But this machine does not have cords with it because you can remove it from you can remove it with this right here. So then that makes it just the sewing machine itself. This is all metal, but it's not quite as heavy as the older machine. So there's 2 holes that the pins will go in. And then you can see you had to loosen these screws so that the holes are clear so you can put the pins in. You just want to gingerly, carefully set it on the pins. And now that it's on the pins, it'll stay and it'll anchor yourself. You get your flathead screwdriver, and then you want to tighten these pins, tighten those screws so that it will stay secure. Again. So this machine is somewhat similar to the older machine where you had those screws. They're on these pins, and you just need to tighten them with your flathead screwdriver. And then this rubber band is going to get cut off after we have everything secure. This rubber band, and now we test it. It's secure on there. We're going to lay it flat. Make sure it goes down. Sorry about that. These old machines are pretty good, but so now it lays flat. Come over here. And you see that it's a perfect line. And now we have the table and the new machine and the table. All right, so now that I have her all set up, I need to get her plugged in. So the plug is right here. All right, so we're gonna plug her in, but I'm gonna go from underneath. Now remember, because we had taken this shelf off, we just need to put the shelf back on. We don't have to put all the cords or the knee pedals back on. But you do kind of want that shelf because that's kind of handy. But I feel like if something were to happen to those pins, that's kind of an extra layer. Because as you saw with our reenactment, that the sewing machine fell. And of course, this was not there. The machine is fine. There's literally nothing wrong with it because it's a heavy iron machine. This wood, not so fine. Luckily, we can cover it up. And I broke that. So anyway, so we got this machine plugged in. And now this nice little pretty machine is going to go like that. And we're going to set her up to sew. So now we'll have a little bit of cord showing because it's not so wound in. But back when this was a computer table, I set this up and put like an extension cord with Velcro. And so now I can just take the cord of the machine and plug it in. And then once I get the extension cord plugged in, then we'll be ready to sew. So just to kind of look at this machine, it's a nice, pretty mint green from Sears. And you can see me reflections. It's all metal. So you can take off. It's a ZigZag machine, so the cams are built in, and the settings are on those dials. And it's a fairly easy machine to work, but I did have to look at the manual to figure out how to do a straight stitch and a satin zigzag and all that. So it took a little bit, but the reason why these machines are, I have some newer machines, and while they work great, if you sew with anything heavy, because I've made leather purses, thicker materials, those newer machines just do not have the feed dogs to push the fabrics through. And these older machines that are metal, indestructible, you can have it fall on the floor and it still looks great. They just have a really pretty sewing stitch that is very hard to get nowadays. And I've spent thousands of dollars on a machine, and I think these Kenmores can almost sew better than that machine. It's not as fancy, it doesn't do embroidery work, but if you know how to satin stitch and get a really nice satin stitch, then you can embroider yourself, but it's machine guided, hand guided, machine stitched embroidery versus plugging it in and a design will come out. But it's kind of takes you back. I believe this was from 1975, the year I happened to be born, so I figured it would be a nice little addition to have. And it was fairly inexpensive. It wasn't like finding it at a flea market where I could have maybe paid only like less than 20 bucks, but I think I paid like $100 plus shipping, and I'm very happy because they put on some new belts and it had frozen, and someone was about ready to throw it away, and they salvaged it for as much as what they could do, and then now I bought it for fairly inexpensive after all those repairs were done, and I took it out of the box and it sewed up beautifully. And now if you want to store it away and just have a cabinet, you can pull the feet in. You can just leave it, unplug it, put it down in there. All right, just fold up your thing, put it neatly in there, close this, and close that, and now you're back to just a cabinet with a nice Art Deco finish. I haven't really finished it. You can of course see that there's some spots that it would be nicely stained. Got the detail. The only thing wrong with it is right there. It got a little broken. However, it was 15 bucks. Had an old sewing machine in it that I'm gonna try to see if I can fix and repair, because I'm pretty sure the old cord can be, the new sewing machine will fit on that. So let's see if it does, just in case. So I grabbed my old, the new foot pedal. I'm gonna take off this old foot pedal one, and we're gonna see if they fit. I believe they do. So now I just need to see if that'll turn on, and then I can take this cord off of that. It was kind of had it stuck right there. Take it off, and now I can hopefully use this cord for the 117 and the 158, and hopefully just use this desk. I had thought about making a wooden desk, but it seems silly to make a desk when I had this cabinet that was fully functional, and I needed to just get this machine that was not functional. And if I want to get it fixed, and if I can't fix it myself and need to take it in, I don't think they want it on the cabinet anyway, so it needed to come out. And now I have my nice newer, older machine.